Fare evasion on the London Underground is massively growing and getting out of control. It's destroying the London Underground train system. The problem has been getting worse and worse over the last 10 years and is soon to get to a critical point as the problem continues to grow. Some parts of the London Underground network are so noisy it can cause hearing loss. Drivers have to wear protective hearing equipment that the passengers just don't have. Lots of the network is becoming incredibly unreliable, dirty and very second rate, and because of fare evasion, it can't afford to solve the problem. London Underground is having to beg national government for money for upgrades, which are really just to stop the whole thing falling apart. In this channel's history, this is by far the most important video we've ever done. This channel is actually about how wonderful London Underground trains are, but we just cannot deny the truth, so have to do this real video. It's taken 6 months to research. We've monitored how fare evaders are doing it, how it's being tackled, and why the solutions are just not working and they're not going to work. Amazingly, the investigation has not just taken us into London Underground, but the problems of London itself. In train spotting meetings, we used to just talk about the trains. Now we talk about the underfunding, how dirty it's getting, unreliable, and how it's being left to rot in so many places. People, when visiting London, are shocked at how dirty most of it has now become and the huge reliability problems in so many areas. Many lines, such as the outer parts of the Metropolitan line, Bakerloo line and so on, just aren't up to the job so much of the week. There's new stations and projects, but they only make up a very small percentage of the total network. The other parts of the network, most of it, is just being left to die. A massive part of this problem is caused by fare evasion, which is destroying the funding of the network. This is the history of how it got so bad. In the 1960s, if anybody evaded a fare, the rest of the crowd would be so incensed that they would stop it. At least one person in the crowd would stop the fare evader, and the rest of the crowd, in the main, would support them. In the 90s, though, this behaviour stopped because the public, and people in the public, felt they would be the ones that got in trouble, so they didn't dare intervene, even if they were in the right. Although they may have been acting correctly, the risk of being taken to court, having to get a lawyer, and all the problems with the risk of being arrested and defending prosecution were just too high. The reality was the innocent law-abiding person was too easy a target, and the hardened criminal just slipped away. This meant in the 90s that all that was left was the police to enforce fare evasion. However, it succeeded because it's a criminal record to do fare evasion, and this is what made fare evaders not do it. The reason fare evasion on the London Underground is a criminal offence is because it's taking money from the government. It's not taking money from a company. So it goes to the criminal courts and not the civil courts. However, it's all changed in the last 10 years. It's all gone really downhill. Shortage of police numbers, bureaucracy, a weak overloaded court system, policies that just don't work mean that the police are not arresting criminals and they're not prosecuting them properly. Even house break-ins often don't get a police person turning up, same with shoplifting. And as you can probably imagine, fare evasion is far lower down the chain. In the rare occasions police are near the ticket gates, it's the junior ones, often don't even have the power to do arrests, or they're just ignoring them on purpose. They don't want to get hit, knifed, punched, etc. The criminals really are winning. 10 years ago, staff working at the ticket gates were getting increasingly assaulted. And the way they stopped this was by telling the staff at the ticket gates not to get involved. This was the only thing that could be done, because a staff member, especially nowadays, who does engage with fare evaders will get punched or something worse at least 3 times a shift. Now they just do customer service work, which was never the original point. They do it well, but it's not the real reason they were meant to be there. So what's happening now is that London Underground staff are purposefully ignoring fare evaders, making sure they never see it, or making sure they're never seen to see it. It's happening right in front of their eyes, and they make sure they don't see it. Staff working in stations by themselves are on their phone 80% of the time, as nobody is checking or inspecting them, mostly just wanting to sit in their booth or their control area and just do nothing. We didn't film this because we thought it was unfair on staff. The solution they're now using, and they're pretending it works when it doesn't, is revenue inspectors. They've only got the power to give fines. But these fines are so low that fare evaders can see it's worth the risk, and they're not going to get caught anyway. London Underground is trying to increase the number of these people, but it's still not working. There used to be loads of them on the Underground just checking random tickets, and people haven't seen that in years. It's just not happening. But even then, it just doesn't work because they've got such low enforcement powers. Put together with an overrun court system and ineffective enforcement in so many areas, fare evaders normally don't even pay the fine anyway. Fare evaders are being taught and shown that they can get away with it, and sadly, the system is so rubbish that they're right. When people at London Underground were asked by us about it, they just said it's not a problem, it's not happening. But just stand in front of the ticket gates for yourself for a very short time and you'll see it. You'll be shocked. People are just turning away and don't want to admit it's there. Lack of police action, due to the lack of police powers, court system and enforcement, means that London as a whole is becoming lawless, and London Underground is part of it and is suffering as a result. There may be rules there, such as it being a criminal offence to do fare evasion, but if everyone is putting a blind eye to it and denying it's happening, then it won't be solved. London is becoming like more troubled countries like Brazil, where criminals can do what they want and are emboldened because authorities do not have the resources or the will to win this fight. Lawless London is growing out of control, and the London Underground is being affected as part of it. This once mighty system is in most part being run into the ground. We need your help. Please subscribe so we can do more videos to highlight this issue. Let's get it solved.